All right, welcome back. We're in Khan Academy under Algebra 1, and our unit is quadratic functions and equations. We're on the skill shift parabolas. So shift is a kind of low-key, informal word that means translate. So the more mathy kind of word is translate. Translate means to move, but not to change the shape of. So, for instance, this marker, I can shift it or translate it. I can translate it up or down. I can translate it left or right. And it doesn't change orientation, so I'm not rotating it. We're not changing the direction it appears. But when we translate, it moves left or right, up or down, and it doesn't change shape. I haven't made it wider, I haven't made it taller, I haven't made it narrower, I haven't rotated it. All I've done is move it left or right, so right or left, up or down. That's a translation or a shift. So, function, this says function g, which is the pink dotted line, can be thought of as a translated or shifted version of function f, the blue solid parabola. That is true. So we've shifted f of x equals x squared, which is the parent function. That is the simplest version of a parabola. So f of x equals x squared has been shifted, looks like, to the right by 3 units and down by 4 units. So they're going to ask us to write an equation for the pink parabola. So let's look at Desmos, which is a free online graphing utility that you should use and take advantage of. I have on here a function f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. You should recognize that as the function, a parabola in vertex form, so that the vertex, if the function is written in vertex form, the vertex will appear at h comma k, where the x coordinate is h, the y coordinate is k. So if we graph that, it appears here right on the vertex where it should, just to show you that. Then what do we have? If f of x on our problem was just x squared, well, that means that h is 0, so x minus 0 is x squared is x squared. K was 0 because we didn't add anything to it, and a was 1. We only had 1 x squared. So right now, this is function f of x from our problem. In fact, we'll make it blue just like they did. Okay, so here's function f of x. We want to shift it left or right, and it was right. We wanted to shift it right by 3 units, down by 4 units. Okay, what's going to happen? If we mess with a, if we change a from being 1, look what happens. If you make a increase, it's getting stretched vertically. All those y coordinates are getting further away, right? This x minus h squared term is now being multiplied by something greater than 1. So instead of being maybe 3, now it's 3 times 3.6. It's a lot further away from the x-axis. But that's not a translation. That actually stretched it. That'd be like taking this marker and stretching it so it's this long. That's not what we want. So what happens if we make it go less? It gets compressed until we get to 0. We don't even have a parabola. Why? Because 0 times our squared term is 0. Then all we have is f of x equals k. That's a line. Okay. If we make it negative, now our parabola is opening down. It reflected over the x-axis. So that's not what we want either, right? We don't want to reflect over the y-axis, or the x-axis. we want to just shift right and down. Okay, so let's put this back to 1. We're not going to change A. If we change K, it's going to take whatever this number is and add more than 0 if we make it bigger, or it's going to add a negative number, which would be subtracting. So it's going to take that number and either add or subtract to it. That's a change in y, right? So if we increase this, all of the points on the parabola translate vertically. They go up. If we decrease that, all of those points, y values go down, 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 down. So k, in order to have a translation of -4 vertically, needs to be -4. So if we put k here at -4, we have translated all of the parabola down 4 units. Now, if we want to translate in the x direction, it follows that we would want to alter what our input value is. In the parent function, if x is 0, then we got a y value out of that. If we want to now have that y value come from a different x input, we're going to have to make x the opposite of whatever, we're going to have h be the opposite of whatever x input we want, so that the thing we are squaring is equal to 0. Okay, so in this case, we want to shift to the right by 3 units. Well, if we want the vertex to have a coordinate of 3, that means h needs to be 3. Okay, so that looks like this. X minus 3 squared. Our a was 1, remember, so we're not changing that. And this was g of x. And we just translated down, so that was -4 for our k. So let's see, will that work for us? If h is 3, if h is 3 in this, it would read x minus 3. Notice, when this says x minus 3, we've moved to the right. When it says x minus a negative would be positive, so if it says x plus 3, we've moved to the left. Let's write that down, because that's a little counterintuitive from what you might expect. This was very simple. If we add to the function value, we translate up. If we subtract from the function value, we translate down. But if this sign is negative, then the translation is to the right. If the sign is positive, then the translation translates to the left. Okay, so it's sort of counterintuitive. If you add inside the parentheses, you're actually shifting left, and if you subtract in the parentheses, you're shifting right. That's because you need the opposite value inside the parentheses for your constant as the x that it takes to make a sum of 0. So, all right, back to Khan Academy. So this equation, which we wrote up there, is x minus 3 squared. Don't forget the squared part, or you'll be doing a line equation, and it will assume you were wrong. And then That's correct. Okay, so translates to the right by 3 because this is a negative 3. Translates down by 4 because this is a negative 4. Next problem. F of x is our parent function x squared. G of x is this, and they're asking us, how is this translating? Okay, G is a translation of F. How is that? Complete the description. All right, so we have shifted up by 3 units. So we're going to pick up by 3 units. And remember, it's the opposite of negative 9. It is shifted right by 9 units. Shifted right by 9 units. Excellent. Next one. The parent function x squared is shifted to the right by 8 units. What's the equation? We have no shift vertically, so k will be 0. So we do. Shifting to the right means I'm subtracting from x. So I'm subtracting 8, squaring that, and I'm adding nothing, subtracting nothing, because I don't want to translate vertically. And we're done.